Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So today we're doing the floor and the ceiling of the music room. Now, in a previous video, I showed you the ceiling where I had closed up a staircase opening. So it was pretty rugged, so I needed to come up with a solution to cover the ceiling so you wouldn't notice all of that unprofessionalism left over from the previous contractor. So I cut a template with a brown paper bag to fit the size of the ceiling. Now, dolls, I always use a template. I don't try to measure my walls. I always use a template based on the actual size of the ceiling because the ceiling and the floor are actually not the same size. I found that out when I tried to make the template the same size as the floor. Again, there's some irregularities in the walls and the position of the walls in this old vintage house. So you have to figure out different workarounds, and paper bag templates work really great. So I cut the wallpaper or the ceiling paper the same size as the template to ensure that it fit properly. Now, it's no need to use the template to put the embossed paper on top of because it's a pretty heavy weight and it works really well. Now I'm just showing you here the colors that I mixed together to create this copper look. Now I already had some rose gold metallic paint by Folk Art, but I needed to be a little bit redder to look more like penny or copper. So I added a little red, a little green, and a little gold. And the color turned out pretty nice, dolls. I just coated the whole piece of embossed cardstock, and I thought that looked like a copper ceiling. Now you do see some little bumps and wowies there. That's just because the paint is wet. Now I did weight it down with some old pieces of granite or quartz or whatever that is, but it's not going to stick. It's pretty much dry. It's just helping it lay flat so that I can put it on smoothly. Now I went back to working on my floor. Now the floor, I didn't make it on camera. I did this process previously for the parlor floor and the parlor hallway. I will leave a link in the description of when I did a parquet floor using the shingles. And that's what I did here, dolls. I just did a design that is a little bit more freestyle. Now I did do kind of a medallion in the center, but the rest of it, I just kind of did it kind of willy-nilly like, but it turned out really nice and I liked it. At first I thought it looked a little bit too modern, but I think with the little medallion in the center, it looked okay. Now I did make sure I put on my gloves. I was encouraged by Laura Wiles to make sure I stay safe. And Laura, thank you for your encouragement. So today I do have on my latex gloves. And I'm actually using some old furniture touch-up to add color to my sticks. Now these sticks I'm just coloring because I'm going to need them as fillers around the edges of the floor. And because everything is kind of vintage and worn and there are multiple shades of stain, I didn't really worry about matching it too much. I just added some colors that I thought would look well after the multiple layers went on, and it did work out pretty good. Now here I am adding an additional layer of stain to the floor after I put the wood putty in between the gaps and spaces and I sanded it. So I was trying to bring the color up a little bit. And again, I wanted it to look a little bit more vintage. I got a lot of light colors in there. It looks pretty crisp. So I wanted to kind of look kind of mottled and old, like it's been sanded and stained over and over again, scuffed up and worn. So I just kind of smeared some darker shades on it and just rubbed it in so the color would look a little bit darker, a little bit richer, not so crisp and bright and new. So again, I was using those same stains that were like touch up colors for some old furniture I had found under my cabinet. Always be cautious. Wear latex gloves. Cover things up so you don't get it on your clothes or on your skin. Now, after I allowed the stain to dry, I went over it with a thin layer of satin Mod Podge. Now, dolls, it does look white when you put it on, but when it dries, it's going to dry absolutely clear, and it just seals in the stain and the work I did with all the colors. Now, here I am back in the music room. Now, the walls look a little white, and a little glunky, but that's because I just put some matte Mod Podge on the wallpaper. And again, I do that to seal the wallpaper because the wallpaper I use is kind of inexpensive and it makes it easier when I begin to hang pictures and wall decorations. Now here I am doing some what I call finish work in the room. Now, although my template for the floor fits, there is some little fill-ins I need to do around the door frame. Now, I've just got a coffee stir stick that I stained, and I'm just laying it right in between where the door is and where the floor template begins. And it's little things like that, dolls, you want to watch for because it gives a seamless transition. And those are the areas that will disrupt the view or disrupt the image of your room, seeing unfinished areas or things that don't look complete. Now, I did the exact same thing on the wall in between the brick wall and the floor template as well. I just glued a piece there so it'll be a nice transition from the door to the floor. And I did have to weight it down a little bit to ensure that it laid flat. Now here I am dry fitting the floor one more time now that I've added those two transition pieces. And now I'm ready to go ahead and add in the glue. But again, I'm just checking everything to make sure everything lays flat and smooth before I add my glue. After I completed the floor with a generous coat of Gorilla Wood glue, I placed the floor in and weighted it down with all my quartz and granite pieces, some 1, 2, 3 blocks, and some jars of paint. And I wanted to just show you what my completed floor looks like with the transitions between the rooms. I think it looks nice and neat. It looks smooth. I am going to add another coat of stain to my floor because I think it looks a little bit scuffed up and a little dry after that first layer dry. Now I do need to add a piece up there at the top to fill in that header space above the double doors. Now I just used a small coffee stir stick just like I used for the transition area on the floors between the doorways. And I just want to give you a glimpse of that copper ceiling next to that brick wall. I think it looks great. I added a piece of crown molding there. That looks really, really nice. I'm very pleased with the look of this room. I really like peeking through that door, looking into the cafe from the music room. This really, really looks lovely. It's going to make a really great entertainment spot for the dolls to make money during the rest of the year as guests come and go. Now, dolls, just take note of those little blocks at the bottom of my door frame. I did those to raise up the door frame to make sure that it aligned with the top of the door. And I did do a little touch up with some stain around the corners and areas because I had some little scuffs and some light marks. And anything like that, dolls, will disrupt the fantasy of your room. So take the time to make sure that you don't miss anything. Stand back, look at your project, and determine what you need to do. And take the time to make the necessary adjustments. Now, I still need to put some crown molding in on the sides, but I just wanted to see how things would look with a little furniture, some crates looking as though people are coming in through the cafe as well as in the entrance hall. Let me grab a few pieces of furniture and hang that chandelier and see how things look. Yes, it looks like some hustle and bustle of people coming in, getting registered and checked into the rooming house through the music room and the cafe doors. Now, dolls, if you enjoyed this video today, definitely let me know in the comments. Also, like, share, and subscribe. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.